Hello and welcome to the most boring video ever. This is not for people interested in nuclear technology, it's just for people interested in communication. So this is the second year I ran a Stand Up for Nuclear table at Calgary, Alberta's Marda Gras street festival. So a pro-nuclear table at a street festival. In 2021 I did this, but it was a mid-COVID year and the street festival was very small. It went over great in 2021. But I wanted to see what it would be like in a busier year. Big difference between 2021 and 2022 this year. I had help. Jessica came by and helped through most of the day. And also it was busier. And also I didn't have computer monitors and laptops. I only had paper flyers. I had a whole bunch of them. I'll just kind of go through the stuff I had this year. 2 vendors actually shipped me flyers. Here's Molten. It's all about the SSRW. GE Hitachi shipped me this thing. They're only single-sided. I don't know what's up with that, but they're very nice. And then for the rest of it, I printed. Here's Ultra Safe Nuclear Corporation. Double-sided. Terrestrial Energy. Double-sided. Fuel for a can-do. Should be commercially available in 2025. It's a thorium-enriched fuel, so that the fuel only needs to be changed 1/7 as frequently, and the volume of waste is 1/7. But single-sided. And can-do 6 flour, double-sided. I had to kind of make that up myself because I didn't have a 2-page PDF. And the other kind of stuff we had was United Nations ECE study, life cycle carbon emissions for the different power sources. You see nuclear there, average is kind of 5, I'm doing this backwards, 5.5, lower than everything else really. And here's can-do, that comes out to 3.2 grams per kilowatt hour. And people love taking these things. People would come and they would take one of each. Like some people just loaded up. I think it was a big success to have so much detailed information at the table. And for kids and lots of grown-ups, there was bags full of gummy bears, like this bag, and it would have 10 gummy bears in it, and then it would have this information insert. We gave out 400 bags like this with 10 gummy bears each. I can imagine that probably everyone who could read in a family would at least be exposed to the contents.
Thank you so much. So a gummy bear is about the same volume as a uranium pellet, produces the same amount of energy as an entire ton of coal, which is pretty crazy.
That puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
This is cool though, thank you so much. Tell me more about this, Comedians for Nuclear Energy.
I like your t-shirt.
I'll expect to see this here, I guess.
Oh wow, thank you so much.
The most important thing to know about the table was that it was received enthusiastically. People either came up to say, yeah, nuclear, this is great, I can't believe you're here, or they were like, what's nuclear? Or they had questions about nuclear waste and stuff like that. So no one was overtly anti-nuclear. Most people seemed genuinely curious. A lot of people were just amazingly enthusiastic and like happily surprised that such a thing would actually be at a street festival. One more quick note before I publish. This is not intended to be watched all the way from front to back. You just skip through the video, get a sense of what the interactions were like, and maybe you yourself will want to host a pro-nuclear table at a social function, like a street festival. I found it to be pretty fun. Jessica said she had a blast, and I'm going to do it again next year. Hopefully you will join me or run one yourself.
Yeah, do you guys want gummy bears?
Yes, they want gummy bears and they're too shy to ask. And I'm trying to encourage them to ask you.
This is the reactor we have built in Canada already.
I'm sold on this, so probably expend your energy on people that might not be just totally the way to go. So what's your background?
IT.
And this is a organization? This is a...
Yeah, I'm a volunteer for Nuclear Energy.
Okay.
And it's, you know, it's not like I do much every week for them. Every once in a while I get to help edit a video, that's about it.
You know...
It's kind of hard to do much pro-nuclear stuff in Alberta at the moment. I'm actually trying to figure out how to be effective at this.
Yeah.
I know so little about it that all I know is like, you hear about the waste, what happens to the waste.
Well, these guys are recycling the waste into additional energy, and that's the name of the company. Yeah, eventually, no matter how much you recycle, there's still going to be something you want to store underground. Grab any gummy bears you want.
Do you guys sell these shirts?
I don't sell them here. If you scan with your phone, it'll take you to the online store. I just found I couldn't manage inventory last year. It was too crazy.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. And if you're pro-nuclear, you might want to sign up here.
Nuclear energy. What
Yes.
are you talking about?
Nuclear energy is incredibly dense. It's got 1 million times the energy density of hydrocarbons.
Those waste bottles that are always has with radiation is this problem.
Well, they don't stay radioactive forever. In terms of geological time frames, it's a geological repository. Just take anything you want. If you're interested in the Canadian stuff, terrestrial energy has a good shot of taking off in Alberta. They just had an announcement like 4 days ago. If you want to learn about Canada, so this is the reactors we have in Canada.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, no problem.
What's this?
Nuclear power. So if your mom's okay with it, we do have gummy bears you can grab.
What is it? What is it?
They're gummy bears. So we have a little information paper in there. But yeah, these are just different types of nuclear reactors, and this is general information. It's incredibly low carbon. Canadian nuclear is particularly low carbon.
What'd you say?
And we have very good uranium.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, grab any gummy bears you want, and nuclear power is incredibly low carbon. Canadian nuclear power is 3.2 grams, and you can see that's below most of the other energy sources we use. Have a good one. And coal is like around 1,000, so it's a pretty big difference.
Is it GE that the one you're going to build now too?
Yeah, that's right, Chalk River. And this one might move ahead in Alberta. So these guys are Canadian, these guys are Canadian. This is going to be the Brunswick pilot. That's fast spectrum molten salt, and that recycles nuclear fuel and traditional energy.
Nuclear energy. Oh, cool.
Gummies!
Gummy bears.
Okay, in my bag.
Yeah, grab gummy bears you want. I can try answer any questions you might have about nuclear power.
Do you have any questions about it?
Nuclear power? I do. I grew up near,
Chalk
we
River?
always called it Crayon Creek. Chalk River.
Oh yeah, looks like I had a pilot one of those there. And these guys were in the running, but now it looks like they might pilot in Alberta instead. Yeah, and these guys are piloting in New Brunswick.
This might happen in this area.
Right now, nuclear in Canada is 2.2 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour.
But I wanted to read the certificate.
Oh, sure, this one is a European set. They're bigger reactors. Everything else you see are small modular reactors.
Cool.
Grab gummy bears. No gummy bears.
So these are the modular reactors?
Yeah, all of these are considered small modular reactors except for the Canada.
Right.
And yeah, if you're interested in what's going forward in Canada, these guys are going forward in New Brunswick, and these guys are going forward in Chalk River.
Okay.
And these two are Canadian companies, and this is General Electric.
Okay.
Some of these are pretty important because they're high temperature, and you need that for industrial heat. So it's pretty easy to generate electricity. It's pretty hard to replace like burning natural gas to get really high temperatures. So that's why there's some different ways of having reactors work. Like these are molten salt reactors instead of using water as cold. This here uses helium. If you want to sign up for Canadian Nuclear Energy, they'll send you emails once in a while. It's not too spammy. Nuclear power is incredibly low carbon. It's 2.2 grams. You can see the range of other technologies here. Solar and wind are higher. Coal is like 1,000. So,
What are these gummy bears?
yeah, they're just gummy bears with little information. So the gummy bear is the same volume as a nuclear pellet.
Really? It's actually hoping for a little uranium. Have they talked about doing anything like that? That was not the idea of the steam generation.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would probably be something along these lines here. Okay, that way you guys grab this one.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks.
One uranium pellet.
Yeah. Gummy bears, pellet. The uranium pellet is much heavier.
Thank you.
You can grab a bag of Zipford.
I am a gummy bear. Yes, I'm a gummy bear.
What's nuclear plant?
Yep, probably. Yep, there's quite a few in Canada, but none in Alberta. You can have a gummy bear. There isn't any. I mean, you can buy a shirt if you're interested in a shirt, but I think you buy them online. There's a whole unit.
and came out of it. And I think everyone came out of the class and was like, man, how nuclear energy?
That's, you're talking high school?
Yeah.
Grade 12?
Yeah, grade 12.
That's awesome. I never got that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you learn that this last unit was like atomic and nuclear physics, and I found it really, really interesting. And
well, I'm so glad they're doing that now.
Yeah.
I would recommend walking the beach and kind of look at what could happen in Alberta. Like these guys are piloting in New Brunswick, so I don't know if they would go out of their way to build a reactor to put in Alberta. They want to do a pilot first, but I know guys working in these companies that are really excited to work those skills. Right now, nuclear is great at generating electricity and desalinating water because it's that hot, but in industrial processes it has to go water.
yeah.
What do you guys do? Canadians for nuclear energy?
Yeah, volunteer for these guys. This is a non-profit, and we're just trying to raise awareness of the fact that nuclear is low carbon,
right?
Statistically incredibly safe, right? And Ontario did an amazing job carbonizing it.
Right. Okay. It's interesting because my friend, like, you know, electricity prices have shot through the roof. He said nuclear, you can get so much out of that. It costs a lot, you know, to build. But once you have it, over time, it's a lot.
These guys are Canadian companies.
Right.
PRWX is general.
Okay. Awesome. Always good to know. Okay. That was good saying. Canadian for me. More power to you. Thanks.
Are we still like up there in terms of like technology in Canada?
Well, I think this is great.
I'll give you my
We're not building it's like right now, India is building reactors very similar to these. But we don't seem to be selling a lot of them.
What's the like environmental impact of like mining for uranium? Is it pretty like sustainable?
I love nuclear energy.
It can regenerate.
If you want to go with like the station, you talk about what's this guy for.
The quantity of ore you need to mine is so small.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
What's the most information you can give me right here?
What part of nuclear?
It's the mini reactors now that they keep talking about, right? I think most people are afraid of the
in Canada the
wastewater and water, which is kind of negligible, really.
It's just warm water. It's room temperature water. It's not radioactive water.
Is that what it is on the new reactors?
Oh no, in all of the reactors. The higher the temperature of the reactor, the more flexibility you have in the code. Yeah, you guys can grab it with something. Go right ahead.
So,
yeah, grab the cooler bag you want.
So mini reactors, you hear about them. Well, guys, do we have any in Canada?
No. The first pilot will be PRWX in Chalk River, and then probably Vortex after that. Hopefully we'll see a IMSR by terrestrial energy. Yeah, if you're curious.
Yeah, I am. I just don't see why we're not using nuclear. What's the smallest mini reactor now that they're working on as far as?
I don't know for civilian use. I think NASA's kind of driving forward on this super small reactor. Kilo Power was the reactor that they developed for the moon. So whatever they stick on the moon is probably the equivalent of super small.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna grab the one on the camera.
Oh sure, yeah. Here, take this one. Yeah, grab any gummy bears you want. Yeah, grab any gummy bears you want. If you have any questions, I can help answer. The current handed is 2.2 grams per CO2 per kilowatt hour, and this is what other technologies are like. So as high as 1,000. The CO2 nuclear is the lowest current.
So what are you promoting?
Just nuclear in general. This is volunteering. I gotta grab one more flyer, but basically, I've been interested in nuclear power for 10 years. One day we'll see nuclear power Alberta. Sure. Grab more than one. Yeah, grab any.
Which one did you grab, Tiffany? I grabbed one.
Can do is actually run a natural good, but it's not really. But the idea here is that the same volume is a fuel pellet, and you can replace 1 ton of fuel. It's really incredibly energy. It's got a million times the energy density of bond.
So last time I was here, I also saw I'd say it's a little bit distrustworthy with nuclear energy when the banding is like super fixated.
I know. I couldn't get a better logo. I had a rough time getting to the printer this year, so I couldn't fix it. But thank you. Yes, I think it doesn't look great. Nuclear power is 20 grams per kilowatt hour. 2.2 grams of carbon, 1200 Canada. So that's super low. That is like, this is European numbers by comparison. See like coal's 1,000. Their own nuclear power is 6.4 to 5.1. And all the PV world is higher than that. These are industrial concerns. So grab gummy bears if you want to grab any information. I want to grab one flyer here. This is Canadian stuff that might happen around Canada. Or this might happen in Alberta.
So do you think Canada should be investing more in nuclear?
Yeah, I mean, I think really it's more messaging. Like, I don't think there's any problem moving forward on this. We actually had a kind of a world-renowned small modular reactor roadmap where everyone was looking at Canada going, that's going to move small reactors forward. And then Justin Trudeau appointed an environmental minister that was really doing this. And that's kind of, he's going to badmouth nuclear power, but I'm not blaming the Liberals because they started this the roadmap. It's like one government kind of was all for it, and they had weird messaging on it after that. If you're interested in what might happen in Alberta, maybe a few. Industrial energy just made an announcement 4 days ago. So these are all molten salt reactors, and this is more of a conventional light water reactor. So that's cooled with water, and these are cooled with molten salt, super hot. One of the things you want to do for industrial processes is super high temperatures. So we're not just energy. Wow, that's
The only question I have is what are the plans in place?
Well, I would say generally a geological repository. Right. So they're looking at one in Ontario right now. It's not clear it'll go forward. I would hope that Alberta would start investigating Alberta geological repository. That's something that would absolutely go parallel with reactor development. You don't have to have a reactor completed to start saying, oh, we need to waste that.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. Once you split the atom apart, you've got fission products, and fission products are like a 500-year problem. Most of what is a longer-term problem is just fuel that has to be used up. So these guys recycle nuclear fuel in their industrial energy. It's more of a simple design that might pilot that. So it's not going to recycle nuclear fuel, but I got a bunch of reports from one of the different ways that they could separate the nuclear fuel as an outside facility. Like it wouldn't happen inside the reactor, but they know how to process the fuel so it makes inside the reactor. Okay. This is just General Electric. They're going to build a whole bunch of those, so you might as well know what it is. Yeah, they're going to pilot one in Chocolate, but they're going to pilot a bunch of them. There was going to be a part of this. Oh yeah. So this is thorium fuel that it's not actually yet tested right now at the United States National Labs in Idaho. And it makes the same thing with fuel one cell as frequently, and the waste volume is one cell as much. So thorium is like, you can get more kick out of it, but right now we're at the technology level where you have to consider with uranium. It's pretty hard to make a thorium in the reactor.
Okay. That's fantastic. Oh, thank you very much.
Canadians for nuclear energy. Hold up.
Gummy bears, you see a lot of fuel pellet.
Like one gummy bear, one fuel pellet?
Yeah, it's different.
If you can multiply it, you can get one gummy bear. Is this all just information about what
this is vendors up front, some of them this is more general information about Canadian nuclear is 2.2 grams, carbon.
The size of the gummy bear.
That sounds familiar, yes.
Christopher is Ontario.
Yeah, they just, what we listened to was just the different types of reactors and what
I do want to look at that
used
picture.
for and how you could set them up easily, and it was just, I mean, it was just super interesting. And I've always, I mean, I work in oil and gas right now, but I've always been a proponent of nuclear is the way to go. It makes sense.
Hopefully we can decarbonize some oil and gas.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is I'm always like, the energy has to come from somewhere, and we can't replace it quick enough. So we still need oil and gas until we find a viable solution. And this
actually has to come from somewhere, and then we go to Europe, and it's like, do we really need energy?
Yeah, right. I like those shirts though. These are awesome. Those are really cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to send videos from energy, you don't want to bother with the QR codes. Just
go to the website.
C4NE.ca or Google Canadians for Nuclear Energy. And we'd love to get anyone's name on the list we can. It's not real big, it's not very specific. No, sorry, good idea. Good idea. Like can-do reactors, or kind of fuel for can-do reactors, the thorium in it, so the fuel 170 stream quickly, and the waste is 170 volume. And these are the molten salt reactors that give you high temperatures, so you can change the process heat, right? Not just generate electricity. Right. If all you want to do is generate electricity, that'll be it. But in Alberta, I know that we do something at a higher temperature. And,
so we get these guys to come.
That nuclear power is the lowest carbon source of energy in Canada. There's a bunch of energy sources for comparison, but it's up to 1,000. Even solar and wind are in the 10 to 20 range, and nuclear in Canada is 3.2.
Level 4 nuclear power.
Yeah. So it's more energy. I agree. These are mostly different companies making different reactor designs. Carbon emissions are 3.2 grams per kilowatt hour.
That's what you guys
compare that to other technologies. Coal's at about 1,000, solar and wind are between 10 and 20. It's low carbon because nuclear power is energy dense. One gummy bear is the same as a ton of coal. One gummy bear of uranium. So it would be much heavier if it was uranium than the volume. It's a fuel pellet.
Would you say is there any other, say, superior way of power source than nuclear power?
Actually, I think depending where you live, hydro is hydro has environmental impact, but it's the single largest source of energy in the world. We're lucky to have hydropower, but we don't have much of it. Lucky Canada has hydropower, not so much Alberta has hydropower.
With the risk of nuclear power, with accidents happening, how would that be? The risk be diminished compared to
This is our world we did. They did a study so it can show you how nuclear power was.
What happens if somebody were to go back to the older stuff? The bigger reactors that weren't so safe.
Well, we are still operating them. We should keep operating.
Some people say it's
Nobody's ever been harmed by nuclear power. No one's been killed. I'm sorry. Jimmy Carter was exposed to some radiation, but he survived. Yeah, I think it's the safest form of energy in Canada. So if you're asking what would happen if there was an accident, it would have to be a question of what would happen if there was an accident that actually occurred. Because all energy sources kill people, right? Every energy source is going to have an accident. It's just we seem to have not ever killed anyone who did power in Canada.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Definitely good. Good to
Do you
want? Yeah, I have one. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Right, no problem. Take care.
All for this. Can I grab one for the little guy?
Please do. You might see that before it's been a pilot shot over. So these are all definitely going forward in Canada. That's the one hopefully will go forward. Yeah, hopefully in Alberta.
So who are you with?
I'm with Canadians for Nuclear Energy. I'm a volunteer. Yeah, the different ways but the same volume. You don't get a good sense of like, maybe if he wants to apply for a job, you want to bookmark that or something? Yeah.
Hi, you're selling these things?
We did the links already. But you can buy a shirt if you want to buy a shirt, but I guess so.
These are the dummies.
Yeah. They're the same volume. So if you're interested in what's most likely going to matter in Alberta.
What's the difference between the three?
This is General Electric.
Okay.
It's just a conventional light water reactor, but it's small. It's a boiling water reactor. It's as simple as you can possibly make it. And because it's so small, you can make it simple and it's still safe, right?
Yeah.
You can compress it. And these two are molten salt reactors. So you get high temperature reactors that can drive processing. These guys are piloting in New Brunswick, and this is a waste. They use nuclear fuel, use Canadian nuclear fuel.
Yeah.
To get more energy out of it. So you still have to do some nuclear waste. You still have to put it in concentrate. But it makes less of it, right?
Right.
Most nuclear waste is just naturally related.
Is this being integrated into heavy oil development plans?
They would be looking at that in Alberta.
Yeah.
You could definitely swap out a lot of that. I would like to see that.
But it's almost it makes sense, but it still doesn't make sense. I mean because the oil sands give you so much heat, steam and everything, and you need to burn. And this would be a good solution. It's only that, well, I think it would end up decreasing the greenhouse gas loads from the oil sands.
Well, I'm not one of the guys who's in favor of shutting down this building. We still have to. I'm not sure it's oil sands, but we still have to export hydrocarbons. That's just not burning hydrocarbons domestically. Export them if we could as much as possible. But that's what the United Emirates did, right? They are building the fastest ones in the world.
Right.
And why would they do that? They've got all that oil. It's like a save their own oil. We should save our own house.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Cool.
Grab any gummy berries you want. Do you want these?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
I don't know if you have a plate of gummy berries. Or you. I don't want to give you a paper if you got no place.
Which one if I take one?
Oh, just grab this one. That might fit.
Learn about it.
These guys, I think they're both very interesting reactor designs, and they're high temperature reactors too. But I don't think we should be neglecting.
Can we take like
Take all the gummy bears you want, take any information you want. I don't know. There was a plan in 2004 for building one in northern Alberta. And
thank you so much.
did you already get these two?
No, I'm not grabbing.
Yeah, from CRME.ca or just Google it. Sign up. They don't ask you much. That's a great idea. We have a great idea.
All right.
If you need more, you build more, and then you use their technology and stuff like that because it's been around forever. They reprocess all the right. The waste is like what you could build a nuclear bomb with the water that you use. Can do. You could.
I'm not just worried about it.
No, but what I'm saying is that I don't know why are we not doing some smart things?
These guys are actually right? So that's the upside of using uranium. So you don't have to enrich uranium. Right now, everywhere except Canada, it's like the Canada and India is like, oh, we gotta get enriched uranium because we were depending on Russia to enrich Russia, the Federation, right? Like there's good side reasons to use deuterium. even if it might be a proliferation concern, right? It's like there are reasons.
Yes. Yes.
Like we can use thorium enriched uranium, running for 7 times as long with what's ever based, and we can do that because of water.
Right. But you know, the thing is that even if you take a look at reverse and you look at Pickering, if they did refurbishing reverse, it's not the same process as Pickering, which is a waste of effort. Because basically the thing is that they're the same kind of reactor, and then you have the same process of kind of refurbishing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Standardization is.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
These things are, there's going to be a bunch of these, right?
I meant to, like,
This is the best reactor. There's no way on earth that there aren't going to be like dozens of these things built. So if all you want is standardization, it's like, even though these guys don't think they move to Alberta yet, because they're already piloting in Alberta. If you're so comfortable and occupy that space, this is like a bed for us and stuff. So, want to throw anything down. These are all different reactor types, and these are probably the most likely things you'll see like in Alberta. Feel free to take any gummy bears you want, and nuclear power is low carbon. It's 2.2 grams per kilowatt hour, carbon per kilowatt hour, and this is a typical range. It's like 1,000 per coal down to 10 to 20 per kilowatt. The reason we're giving up gummy bears is because uranium is incredibly energy dense. So if that was made out of uranium, it would be heavier, but at the same volume, it would replace a ton of coal. So when you burn a ton of coal, it's like a ton of CO2 goes up in the atmosphere. So nuclear is low carbon, 3.2 grams per kilowatt hour, and you compare that to other technologies, coal's at 1,000, solar and wind at 10 to 20. Oh, you know, okay.
No, a little, not too much.
Well, you might want to grab vendor diagrams and vendor flyers, because this is what these might have in Alberta.
I'm very, kind of in the neutral house, all of that.
Is there a chance we're going to build a nuclear plant?
Who are you guys? Why are you
and we're volunteers, right? I just personally have wanted to see the years. If you ever want to write a legislator, that's great. If you want to Google news from Twitter, that you can get in the newsletter. Hopefully we can get some Alberta activities.
Are they in Canada?
Oh yeah, in Ontario there's a bunch. These guys are going to get built in New Brunswick. This is a nuclear reactor that recycles used nuclear fuel into more energy. So you can do that with used Canadian nuclear fuel and get more energy out of it. These guys are piloting Chalk River.
I don't want to be
So Chalk River is...
We don't have
This is from the UN. It shows that nuclear is actually the cleanest.
And great, thanks for sharing.
Oh yeah, no problem. Grab gummy bears if you want gummy bears. We got gummy bears.
I always worry about nuclear meltdown.
It's not happening yet.
True. It's the very best video camera back there, and broken in a way that so I've got this like super wide shot. I wish.
Well, I've got this DeLorean.
We have simulated uranium. Fuel pellet has the same volume as a gummy bear, which can do actual uranium. The Indian reactor that wasn't a Canadian, but they did their bombs from the reactor. It wasn't actually
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I gotta keep deploying the gummies to yeah, that's the most likely thing we'll see built in Alberta. So deploy this camera.
Our world in data has some really great
Which one?
Our world in data.
Thanks a lot. Feel free to grab any gummy bears you want. What's that? Oh no. They would be if they were uranium. So yeah, one gummy bear is equivalent to 1 ton of coal if it was made from uranium. Oh, yeah, it's
That's
just
a QR
for the
code to get to your website? Or?
It is only for the shirts.
Oh, for the shirt?
Yeah, if you want to buy a shirt, it's that. If you want to go to Canadians for Nuclear Energy, It's c4ne.ca, but hopefully you can get one of those from here. Or you Google Canadians for Nuclear
For nuclear energy, okay.
Yeah.
So you guys promoting small modular reactors?
Well, I'm just informing anyone about nuclear power in general. I still like the CANDU, which are not small, they're big. You can load thorium and uranium through it into, and that takes
Biofuels is a type of energy, nuclear is a type of energy as well.
So all of these reactors are really quite different. These guys are molten salt reactors.
Yeah, it's molten salt, yeah.
And this is just a light water reactor.
Is this similar to what the Gates Foundation with True Energies is promoting the molten salt?
Bill Gates is working on molten salt stuff. His natrium reactor is a sodium cold reactor, which is, I don't think I have a sodium cold reactor here. The Bill Gates reactor is going to use molten salt to store the heat.
To store the heat?
That's okay. I'm just saw you guys here.
Okay. So it's a nuclear energy.
So it's like all a nuclear size.
Yeah, that would be great. If I could do it again, I would have definitely done it.
Yeah, no. I'm all for you.
Grab any gummy berries you want. And this one is another high temperature one.
That's cool, yeah.
So that's probably this is probably one of the small modular reactors you're going to see a lot popping up around the world because of General Electric, and they won't just be piloting in Canada. They're piloting one at Chalk River, but they will have other ones being built. Terrestrial energy might get built in Alberta. 4 years ago they had So we should be hiring some people soon, but that doesn't mean I'm going to reactor. It's just sort of a business development hire. It's not as far along as actually exciting. And these guys are piloting, so it's possible they'll pilot just like these. You can see reactors are piloted elsewhere. They're second built here.
Hello.
Mini nuclear reactors for the oil sands?
Yeah, small modular reactors. Oh, absolutely. You can have gummy bears, you can take paper stuff. Thank you. You're welcome. This is my first time doing this, so...
Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, sounds okay.
I don't have a speech to give or anything.
Just gummies.
Gummy bears, yeah. And that's the whole idea, is so a gummy bear is about the same volume as a uranium pellet, and it has the same, produces the same amount of energy as an entire ton of coal, which is pretty crazy.
That puts things into perspective.
Yeah, I think it's a neat little demonstration. Plus gummy bears are colorful and fun and they taste good, so.
This is Canadian data, this is European data. I couldn't get that kind of breakdown for Canada. CANDU's particularly versatile because it can run on natural uranium, and there's also a fuel my friend's making that is thorium enriched. So it's enriched uranium plus thorium, and that means they can refuel the reactor 1/7 as frequently and have 1/7 the nuclear waste. Another way of dealing with that is recycling. So Moltex recycles the waste into more power.
This is the one in New Brunswick, right?
Yeah, New Brunswick, yeah. That's just a fuel type. They're testing it in the US, but it's probably going to be used in Indian and Canadian reactors starting in 2025. Like they won't.
So is it an element that's...
Yeah.
Thorium is just a different
and there's
fuel.
Lots of it.
Yeah.
Thorium itself. There's lots and lots of thorium. That's another advantage.
Moltex is being piloted in New Brunswick. This General Electric is being piloted in Ontario. And terrestrial energy might be piloted in Alberta. They had an announcement 4 days ago. There was a memorandum of understanding with terrestrial energy and one of the Alberta development branches. So they're looking to hire 100 people, but that's just for business development. That is not 100 people to build the reactor. It's just trying to get their ducks in a row.
Hello.
Hey, this is the coming thing, isn't it?
Yes. Certainly hope so. This is how we beat climate change.
Some girl came here and she said she learned about nuclear in Physics 30 in high school. So apparently it's being covered in high school. I have no idea what the curriculum is. I was surprised when she said that. I had no idea. It's a pretty complicated field. I took an interest 10 years ago, but I'm not an expert or anything like that. I just understand the basics. But in some ways it's super simple, right? It's just if you have enriched uranium, you bring it together and it will create heat, right? And you have reactors to control that.
That one recycles the fuel so that it actually gets all used up instead of just running it through once and then putting it away when it's still got most of its energy.
I'm not selling any physical ones here.
Oh, no?
All I've got is if you use your phone, or I can direct you to the URL, but it's all for people if they want to make a purchase on their phone or something like that. Like guys like me, we have our credit cards on our phone, you know.
Oh
so
yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I tried selling shirts last year, and it was just too
is there
awkward.
a website or anything?
Yeah.
What's it
Here.
called?
What is it called? Let me see.
You should have a card.
I should have a card. Thank you for suggesting that. Do you want me to text it to you? I can text it to your phone number.
Okay.
Are you a nuclear physicist?
I wish I were. I have a physics degree and I have a diploma in environmental protection technology. And so I'm like, I understand that this is what we need, but I'm not actually I'm just a volunteer.
22 megawatts per gram?
Megawatt hours per gram.
Megawatt hours per gram.
Yeah. And I've got thorium and uranium listed at the same amount. That's just the energy potential. That's not exactly what we get out of the reactors today. But
But that's yeah. There's obviously inefficiencies and stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the only one I can't give you. We ran out of those.
No, it's kind of interesting. I'm surprised. I mean, considering this takes in Chernobyl and Fukushima.
Yeah. Well, it's because nuclear produces a lot of power, right?
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a sort of based on the amount of power.
The one I would think would shock you is how high hydropower is.
Yeah.
So most of that is from one dam accident in China in the 70s, right? But yeah, I mean, if you're building right now, I would say hydropower is probably the safest if you're just looking forward, right?
Yeah.
Is who's going to die on a modern hydropower plant in a first world country, you know?
So there's another similar data set here. This is from the United Nations put these data together. This one is the one for human health. Nuclear, teeny tiny, and then there's the big hydro dam failure affecting that one.
Do you guys mind if I get
Small
a
hydros.
photo for social media? I probably should be doing that sort of thing. Okay, thanks.
Oh, can I just take a couple of these?
Yeah, please do. I'll grab them from the other end if you do those. Gummy bears are paperweights.
There's no silver bullet, but this is about as close as we've got.
It's got to be part of the mix.
Yes.
What are the disadvantages of nuclear?
Right now they're pretty expensive to build, and right now the non-Canadian world was overly dependent on Russian uranium enrichment. So now they're trying to get back from that, and they're going to enrich their own uranium again. But it didn't matter to Canada because the CANDU, which is what we have right now in Canada, it runs on natural uranium. We don't enrich our uranium, and Canadian nuclear footprint is 3.2 grams per kilowatt hour of carbon, and so that compares to like 1,000 for coal and 10 to 20 for solar wind. But even European, this is European numbers, European nuclear is about 5.5. So Canadian nuclear is lower than European nuclear because we don't enrich uranium.
Molten.
Moltex, yeah. They're in New Brunswick.
Yeah, that's the only one that I think we should be investing in.
Take more than one if you want to share.
Do you sell the shirts?
We do, but it's only by QR code.
If they could retrofit existing reactors to use thorium.
Probably the easiest thing to do is just take a photo. You can always bookmark it. Sorry, I don't have any physical stock, but I just couldn't manage the inventory. We have gummy bears if you want gummy bears. The range is like 1,000 for coal to 10 to 20 for solar and wind. So nuclear is the lowest carbon energy source.
Are you trying to get it like in Alberta here? Or?
Yeah. So there's some momentum there, but it's hard to get any specifics. Probably, if I had to guess what reactor might get built right now, this one's looking good because 4 days ago there was an announcement at Terrestrial Energy and some economic development branch of the Alberta government.
So would that be like Calgary or like Edmonton there? Or?
I wish. I don't expect the first one would be built in Calgary. I mean, I personally would love to see something like an information center built around a reactor, but I'm probably I'm in the minority on that. But yeah, I mean, if you want some vendor flyers, like these are the likely Canadian candidates for what you'll see in Alberta.
Yeah, it feels weird that we don't have anything yet.
Most nuclear reactors are used to generate electricity, but if you go high temperature, then you can replace the burning of gas for industrial processes.
Okay.
And so it's not just because decarbonizing the grid, it seems hard because we're not doing it, but it's solved, right? You absolutely know how to decarbonize the grid, but decarbonizing like concrete production is one of those trickier things where all these industrial processes, that's really going to be the hard part of decarbonizing.
That's
Yeah.
This is cool though, thank you.
Oh, thank you. We're volunteers. Canadians for Nuclear Energy is a nonprofit, and we just want to raise awareness that nuclear power is statistically one of the safest forms of energy production, and it's also the lowest carbon source of energy production.
They want to know what they're going to do with profit first, and it is going to take centuries to get out, and we don't have that time.
I don't know exactly how it should be done organizationally because that's not my forte, frankly. But the idea that we need to collaborate, cooperate on a global scale, yes, definitely.
Radiations, like if people are doing it out, like
The reactors don't release a lot of radiation. You'll find that you'll get more radiation from being anywhere remotely near a coal plant, because the coal actually has radioactive materials in it, uranium and thorium. A lot of coal gets burned to produce electricity, whereas a nuclear reactor, you have the uranium in a fuel pellet, and then you split the atoms, it makes heat, but everything is still contained in the pellet. Reactors don't actually release...
it takes chain reaction, right?
What's that?
Chain reaction?
Yeah, chain reaction, but they don't release radiation to the environment. Coal releases more, and natural gas release more, and that's just because the sheer volume of fuel, the more volume you pull up from the earth, the more radioactive material you're dealing with, and you just don't need a lot of uranium to generate a lot of electricity.
One time it's start and it takes chain reaction.
Well, it's easy to...
So much energy is produced.
Yeah, and it's very easy to control, like all the accidents you've heard of that is unusually bad design and unusually bad error. It's like the reactors are actually statistically the safest form of energy production. Nuclear as far as safety, so very few deaths. And hydropower has more deaths because of one dam accident in China. So you probably heard of 3 nuclear accidents. You probably never heard of the hydro accident in China. But I mean, if you had to build now, all of these are safe, right? Hydro, wind, nuclear, and solar, they're all extremely safe. You mean Chernobyl?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, they evacuated Chernobyl. I believe they could unevacuate almost all that territory. Same with Fukushima. Yeah, the Russian reactor was not a safe design and it was not well operated. So all of these are absolutely completely different from that.
This is nuclear reactor, right?
Yeah, that is a CANDU. That is what we have in Canada. And here's a new type of fuel for CANDU. It produces 1/7 the amount of nuclear waste because it has thorium in it.
Thorium and uranium.
It mixes them together.
They are mixing together?
Yeah, in this one. So it's not like the fancy pants thorium reactor where there's no uranium fuel. This is just trying to make it so you refuel the reactor less frequently. So I know the guy who's helping them develop that, and he's all excited about it because usually when people are trying to improve reactors, they're designing new reactors, and he's like, we can make the existing CANDUs work better with this fuel.
Like research?
No, I'm an IT guy, so I took an interest in nuclear 10 years ago, so I just do this in my spare time. Yeah. I'm not paid, I'm just, you know.
So the idea with the gummy bears is that so a uranium pellet is about that big, and and one uranium pellet produces the same amount of energy as an entire ton of coal. So it's a convenient way to give a sense of just how energy dense uranium is, but they're not made of uranium. They're made of gummy bear.
So the idea is that one gummy bear is the same volume as a nuclear fuel pellet. The same volume, you can displace 1 ton of coal because uranium is incredibly energy dense. And you can keep that, or give it to your kid or whatever, have it yourself.
So it's eatable, yeah?
Yeah, they're normal gummy bears. It is not containing uranium. Haha. And so we're here because nuclear is low carbon, 3.2 grams of carbon per kilowatt hour. And if you compare that to other energy sources, coal is about 1,000, solar and wind are 10 to 20. And, it's the lowest carbon source of energy.
You guys have XXX t-shirts?
No, it's online. So if you order it, you can see if they have online. Do you want me to hold it? You can try scan the code.
Oh, I don't scan codes.
You don't?
Cyber it already.
It's an iPhone. Isn't that not an iPhone?
Very difficult, but there are very sophisticated guys that come and break through this whole business. But
I just thought that a Safari exploit would be pretty tough.
So a lot of common, it is. It's very tough.
So are we pushing snap in Alberta?
I'm sorry?
Are we pushing for nuclear plants?
I think the whole world needs to build more nuclear reactors. Maybe not Russia right now, but
Don't be shy. Just say it.
this is the first day that I've volunteered to, I haven't done this before. I don't have a prepared speech or anything.
It's a yes or no. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
We need nuclear to stop climate change.
Yeah. Also, it's it's less pollution, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't open up myself to Wi-Fi.
So uranium pellet is about that size, and a uranium pellet produces the same amount of energy as an entire ton of coal.
Yeah, see, I'm all for that.
You wouldn't go around saying no nuclear because of Chernobyl, because Chernobyl was a different reactor. So every one of these reactors is extremely different from the other ones. So
It's clean energy, all right? Right now.
Well, there was.
So the likelihood of a meltdown.
There is and has been
was,
movement to build more nuclear, to fund more nuclear. I mean, we have nuclear plants. There's a bunch of nuclear in Ontario, and it's going great.
That actually matter. That are
But
going to live through global warming and
unfortunately, the current Minister of the Environment is anti-nuclear, which is really frustrating. He's a Greenpeace guy.
Yes, it's safe now. Come here. Come here.
Yeah.
Yeah, come here. Come on, come here. Make you feel good. Come here. So yeah,
If only it were so simple.
I'm pretty sure that Pierre Poilievre.
I went to one of his talks. He's very pro-nuclear, but I'm not a crypto guy, so I think he's kind of also getting on board a bunch of other things that I'm probably not as enthusiastic about.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Liberal government actually created the SMR roadmap, and for quite a while, everyone was like, wow, Canada's racing ahead on small modular reactors. And then they appointed a Greenpeace activist as their environmental minister.
Yeah.
And that excluded, he had green nuclear power excluded from the green bond framework, so now it's harder to finance nuclear projects compared to solar and wind.
I hope this stuff gets up there. If you're doing good, you're doing really
well,
good.
If you Google one thing, Google Canadians for Nuclear Energy. Some of them are functioning as paperweights. If you want a gummy bear, I can.
Oh, I know. Sorry, I was.
Do you want any of these to take with you? Because just make it so you can read it anyway.
This is a good idea.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's not my idea.
What's the difference between MMR and SMR?
MMR is intending to have a smaller power output, so even smaller than
micro? Is
yeah.
that what the M stands for?
Yeah. This is about the smallest power output one we have, and I've got some friends with other. No, it doesn't exist. No, it doesn't exist. Sorry, none of these exist except for Candu. Yeah, Candu is the only reactor here that exists.
So if you go to, if you Google that.
Yeah, and you can.
Then
Canadians for Nuclear Energy. I mean, nowhere really.
About ways that you can.
We're just. Well, we're non-profit. I don't know if we're a lobby group or not.
Sometimes there are things that
non-profit, and I'm here as a volunteer.
Signatures.
So, I'm in IT, so I have a personal interest in nuclear power, and that I learned about it 10 years ago, and then I started creating YouTube communications on it, and this is just something I've kind of wanted to do for years and years, because I go to Marda Gras all the time. And I was like, I should have a table for nuclear power. So Jessica here joined me this year, and I did it last year. But normally I don't do this. I don't have any. No.
Okay.
It would be nice if it was, but I don't see that happening.
I just didn't quite hear you.
Yeah, I mean,
The biggest misconception people have is waste.
yeah,
Trying to,
I did
educate
not bring
people
any
about-
flyers for waste repository
Yeah, that
information.
it's way safer than
Okay.
most people realize. That it's
Okay,
actually
good.
the cleanest.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping the
source
Alberta
of
government would get on
energy.
board with just
This is,
an Alberta
life cycle
repository
impact on
and start
ecosystems.
researching that and getting
there's
a
nuclear,
plan
it's the
for.
tiniest one.
I don't want to ship it to Ontario. I think that might fall through.
We need nuclear to stop climate change. And
I think the problem is everybody's saying not in my backyard, but
studied physics and environmental protection
They're in
technology,
casks.
and when I combine those two,
Yeah.
I'm like, we need
it's
this.
impossible to make a reactor again.
There's some deep borehole technology where you just use the same technology they use for drilling wells and the curved angles, and I would love to see a pilot waste repository happen in Alberta before you even have a reactor, just because
Also, you can
the
take
reactor's
any
going
of
to take a
these,
while and you can do the repository right
Take
over.
any of the educational material.
Oh, I know. I just
It's gotta
saying.
be in the pool for how long?
Yeah, this is just something you could do to get the ball rolling, right? I think it's actually hard to decide
small
what kind of
modular
reactor you'd want in
reactors
Alberta because, well, they all have advantages and disadvantages. I'd love to see a CANDO built here, but who's pushing CANDO? No one's pushing CANDO.
Yes, it's who is it? S&C Labyrinth that
They bought the IP, and so now.
I don't actually.
Yeah.
I don't actually know.
Yeah, so
Like,
they
I've-
even had
I've
a small
looked at the
modular
numbers of
reactor
where
CANDO that they were going to
where there's reactors,
propose,
but I just
and I'm like, are you
don't
guys still
remember
doing
off the
that?
top
And
of
the
my
guy
head,
says,
so-
yes, we're gonna. It's
they're
not.
doing one in Darlington. It's not a candy.
Yeah, it's over there, the BWRX 300.
Yeah, so it's boiling water.
Yeah, so that's Chalk River. This one is New Brunswick, and I'm hoping we can get a IMSR
it's so
in
much
Alberta,
different.
but
3 Mile Island. Well, nobody even.
it's hard
got
to say
hurt
what'll
there
happen
anyway.
in Alberta. You know?
Like,
Yeah.
and in Fukushima, nobody actually.
Oh, thank you.
Nobody actually died from the nuclear.
Oh, thanks for stopping.
It was the evacuation that killed people.
Yeah, it's just the same volume. That gummy bear is the same size as a uranium fuel
You really
pellet,
have to look for
but
it.
it's just a normal gummy bear. One of these replaces a ton of coal, and when you burn a ton of coal, a ton of CO2 goes up in the air. So it's just very energy dense, and it's low carbon. So
You got Chernobyl miniseries?
I did. It was very well made, but there were some inaccuracies.
Yeah, I understand. Is I actually have finished. I watched the first disc, I guess, because I have it on disc, right? And like you start looking at the death toll, and it's like so low.
That's so cool. Uranium pellet the size of a gummy worm produces the same amount of energy. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Nice. It's what we need to stop climate change.
That's actually why I'm
Oh,
That's so cool. I'm going to take two.
Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, absolutely. You can grab, like, you can have anything except my water bottle.
I watched it and then I read up on it and I was like, oh wow, that was really inaccurate, but I'm going to watch it again one day. I don't know when, but I'll watch it again.
Stuff I've started, right, so if I ever get around to it, but I'm just saying that once I read up on it, it's like, well, nothing dramatic's going to happen because all the parameters the first.
The only thorium thing here is this thing here.
I thought saltwater reactors were often
Salt. Molten salt. Molten salt reactors could use thorium, but you'd have to design it with that
I have
intention.
a hard-hitting question for you, though.
Uh-huh.
If this stuff's going to work and solve all the problems, how come Germany seems so screwed right now?
It's a green coalition government. 70% of Germans want them to keep the reactors operating. And that number's kept climbing. It's been climbing, and something's going to happen. They can't. It's at 70 now, and things haven't gotten really bad yet, and you can tell they're going to get bad.
But aren't they literally turn off your air conditioning and go to a community place with a fan on?
They're rationing some gas and electricity.
Russia for it, but it's like with all their nuclear stuff, should they be able to do it?
I keep an eye on Germany. It's very interesting, and they got to turn the reactors back on. It's crazy.
Okay, cool. Well, it's been nice talking to you.
Also cool.
More jobs.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think this is people haven't understood that this is the only solution we have.
Yeah.
if we want a carbon-free future.
It's the only thing that works at the scale that we need.
It's the only thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing else does, and it's getting better and better. Well, hang on to that. Thank you.
Cool, you're welcome. Nice to talk to you. Hello.
Uranium.
They're not really uranium. That would be bad. You gotta be careful with that. We use,
I'll have one anyways.
go for it. You're welcome. So the idea is that...
Tell me more about this, Canadians for Nuclear Energy.
So you might be best at summarizing.
It's a nonprofit. A doctor in Ontario started it up because he realized the reason Ontario stopped burning coal was because they refurbished their nuclear power plants and upgraded the power capacity. I'm just in Alberta thinking we should be deploying some nuclear reactors. And so I know some people in nuclear power startups that are trying to get them built, right? Like maybe about half of the companies here I have some contact with, but they're not paying me. I'm just here to give out their flyers in hopes that we can further the acceptance of nuclear power in Alberta. Because it's low carbon, it's the lowest carbon source of power there is. That's 3.2 compared to 1,000 for coal, 10 to 20 for solar and wind. And statistically, it's one of the safest forms of power on the planet. Like even hydropower has killed more people per kilowatt hour than nuclear, right? So you'd think wind would be safer than nuclear, and there's supply chains issues in wind where you've got hazardous materials, and people do die maintaining wind turbines. So that nuclear energy safety number includes Fukushima and 3 Mile Island.
So what's preventing for Albertans to start a nuclear plant or an operation?
It's expensive to build the first one of anything, and we've never built a nuclear plant before. So, for example, in New Brunswick, they're building this where there is already another nuclear power plant. In Chalk River, Ontario, they're building this where there was another nuclear power plant. If we're going to build one of these, we can't build it where there's another nuclear power plant. We have to create a new nuclear power plant site. So there is kind of a licensing process you go through that's pretty slow. So even if everyone decided, yeah, we're going to build a nuclear power plant as soon as possible, you probably won't see one for 5 years in Alberta. I couldn't imagine anything happening faster than 5 years.
So you're here to spread awareness?
Yeah.
Or? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if someone has any, if they're worried about safety or something like that, I'm just trying to point them at the data I have showing that nuclear is the safest and low carbon, and it's just expensive right now, and there's no reason it can't be made cheaper because there's nothing inherently expensive about it. It's the way we license it and the way we build them. We've made them expensive.
So where are you thinking they should put this? Because it won't come alive for another 40 years.
40 years? What do you mean 40 years?
I agree with what he's saying.
They don't take 40 years to make.
Fusion won't be here for 40 years, but fission is working well.
We already have some in Ontario that already work, and they're building some in. Okay, so the toxic waste that I'm concerned about there, so am I. I have a diploma, well, not an environmental biologist. I have a diploma of technology and environmental protection.
Yeah, see, I'm the other way. I'm all about everything's got to be green and growing, right? And when these things come in, it's not green and growing around.
I think that you might be misunderstanding.
I get the coal fires.
Okay, so
it's just where are you thinking you're going to get these all going?
Okay, so where people actually want them, because forcing them on communities is not cool. Yeah, that's not cool. It has to be where the communities are like, yes, we want to do this. That absolutely needs to be that way. And that's what they're genuinely trying to do it that way now. This is from the UNECE, a full life cycle. Yeah. So that, and this is reasonably new. But if you just Google UNECE,
is like, how serious is the Canadian government about this? They were serious before. It was the same government. It was the same Justin Trudeau Liberal government. And everything was going good. They appoint this guy, and now there's questions about.
So the question is, if they have approval to build it in Central or East Coast, what's preventing from West Coast?
Well, BC is anti-nuclear. They have provincial laws prohibiting nuclear power, which is weird. They do have fusion startup on the go in Vancouver, but not fission. But in Alberta, there's nothing stopping us other than licensing a reactor and building it. And it just takes time to license a reactor. I mean, this would be a first of a kind, right? This hasn't been built yet. These are all new reactors. If you wanted to build a CANDU, which we have in Canada, you could build another CANDU in Alberta. It'd probably be faster, but unfortunately, no one's pushing CANDU. And it used to be a Canadian corporation, a Crown corporation, and then the Harper government sold off some of the intellectual property to SNC-Lavalin, and I think it was a bit of a scandal because they sold it so cheap. And SNC-Lavalin hasn't been pushing CANDU, and now that the government sold the IP, the government isn't pushing CANDU, so it kind of made it very difficult to get CANDUs built. I don't know what's going to happen with that. So if I could get a CANDU built in Alberta, I would, and that'd probably be the fastest thing we could do because there's already CANDUs that exist, right? And there was already a site in northern Alberta. They were looking at Bruce Power was looking at building a CANDU in Alberta. They looked at it in 2004 and then they said no, it's too expensive, and they decided not to. We could still make that happen, and with a less expensive reactor, because the reactor they chose to do that was not a good choice. It was the most expensive CANDU you could imagine, and you don't need that. If I could make that happen in Alberta, I would. I don't really know how to go about it though, because I'm just a guy.
So if somebody wanted to read more of what you're saying, where would they go and read about this?
Well, Canadians for Nuclear Energy. Do you want to just take a photo of that so you remember the name of it?
I'll remember the name.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a good resource. And there's good YouTube videos about nuclear power too, like if you just want to understand the physics behind it. I'm Gordon McDowell. Yeah, what's your
name?
Very
nice to meet you. I'm Tezrina.
Tezrina, okay,
yes,
nice to meet you.
I'm a doctor, just curious about this. That's why I asked you so many questions.
Okay, well the founder of Canadians for Nuclear Energy, he's a doctor, Dr. Chris Kiefer. You'll probably come across him if you Google that. And yeah, he's very articulate on the subject, and if you ever listen to podcasts, he has a podcast called Decouple, about decoupling our impact on the environment from our energy needs. Go ahead.
Can I also take a little bit too?
Yeah, do you want one that's that small, or do you want to carry around a bunch of papers? Like you don't have a bag on you, eh?
I don't have a bag.
Okay,
no.
yeah, go ahead. Right, this is a good choice.
Yeah, I'm always interested in you. It's so fascinating.
Hello.
Hi. I like your t-shirt.
Oh, thanks.
I have a degree in chemistry, so.
Yeah, these are all vendor flyers, and the reason I'm here is because nuclear power is low carbon and pollution free. So yeah, grab as many as you want. If you want to carry around paper, there. Yeah, if you want. Yeah, if you want any gummy bears, just grab a bag. And these are all just flyers for different types of nuclear reactors.
Oh, I had
it's okay. Hey there. Did you want one gummy bear? I just gotta keep the page down.
Take a gummy bear?
Yeah, just grab a bag from anywhere.
Need something?
Okay. Yeah, Canadians for Nuclear Energy is that QR code. It's if you Google that, you'll find them. Yeah. And
I'm assuming you're selling the shirts.
I am, but you have to scan the QR code and then bookmark it or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't have a fancy URL to direct you to, so.
That's okay. I will ask her if she'd like something like that. She's got a birthday coming up. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to grab a bag of gummy bears?
Sure. 1 euro. This is how much is a uranium pellet, eh?
Yeah, like one of those has the same volume as a uranium pellet. Yeah. More energy.
The size of uranium, the size of one of these gummy bears.
Pro nuclear table here. It's super low carbon, 3.2 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour in Canada, whereas 1,000 to 10 to 20 for solar and wind. 1,000 for coal, 10 to 20 for solar wind. Yeah, and I mean, if you want any of the papers, it's fine.
We have a couple in Canada, don't we?
We have CANDUs in Canada, yeah. So CANDU reactors, yeah. So they run on natural uranium. They're actually pretty good reactors. Hey.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh.
So many people.
Thank you for saying so.
No reason.
Yeah, it seems to be well received.
As it should be.
Canadians for Nuclear Energy. Yeah. So one gummy has the same volume as a uranium fuel pellet, which can displace a ton of coal. So that's why we got bags of gummy bears.
Thanks so much.
No problem.
Do we have any nuclear energy in Alberta?
No, not yet. No.
And how about the disposal of the nuclear waste?
You would probably put it in a deep geological repository. Now you can recycle it to get more energy out of it, but at the end of the day, it's just the easiest thing to do is put it underground.
Okay.
So that is what I would recommend.
Okay.
Yeah, they're building such a repository in Ontario. I would rather us do it in Alberta. I don't think we should ship any used fuel to Ontario. I think it's better to just do it here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do we have it here in Alberta?
No.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
No.
And what is this?
Oh, the gummy bears?
Oh, gummy bear.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can take a bag too if you want. One uranium fuel pellet is displacing a ton of coal.
Oh, okay.
The same size as a gummy bear. Yeah, you can take that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
And the information, yeah.
One uranium pellet, size of a gummy bear.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, same volume.
The amount of energy is 1 ton of coal.
Yeah.
I believe it. Are they doing those mini ones around Alberta still?
There's no specific plans. I know the government wants to build a nuclear in Alberta, but they don't say which reactor. The most likely one is this one. There was a memorandum of understanding. But
between the provinces, right?
Well, no, that was before. 4 days ago, there was a memorandum of understanding between Alberta Development and these guys.
Okay.
So it's a very modern, advanced concept. It would be piloted in Alberta. We would have the first ones if we do it. So yeah, I know some of the guys there, so that's kind of exciting. I would love to see us pursue that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. The idea is you build them in a factory and then transport them to the site.
Where's uranium mined?
Right now, I think Saskatchewan is where it's mostly mined.
Yeah, my brother's
And we do have uranium resources in Alberta, but we're not mining them. I don't think it's too big a worry. Like, you don't need a lot of uranium to fuel a reactor, so it's like Saskatchewan could cover the need for the immediate future.
It's what Ukraine, their power plant, is it uranium?
Yeah, they're all uranium powered. In fact, I got it. Oh. In fact, CANDU reactors actually run on natural uranium. Thank you. They don't even need to have enriched uranium.
So will you hire my son, please? He's finished his doctoral
I'm
program?
volunteer. I can't hire anyone, but I would collect these up and try contact the company.
You're welcome.
Oh, you walked without eating it yet. Very nice of you. Well, thanks. I really didn't want to wait in a lineup for food. I don't know if there's always lineups, but last year I was like waiting in line forever.
There was definitely a lineup.
Oh yeah, take it easy somewhere.
Yeah, just sit down somewhere.
Those bricks aren't terribly clean.
So what do we do with the waste?
You can recycle it to a point. That's a reactor going in New Brunswick. That'll recycle CANDU fuel into additional energy. Ultimately, it needs to go into a geological repository. So is my suggestion that if Alberta pursues nuclear power, we should start a repository, even though that's kind of jumping the gun. It's like it's best to get that developed in advance. It's not a big, hard thing to do. It's unpopular, and that's just the one thing that anti-nuclear people will protest, because it's a pinch point, and the nuclear life cycle is like, we can always say, what are you going to do with the waste? But it's not hard to build a geological repository. There is a one called the WIP in the United States. It's only for military waste, but it's exactly what you need to do for civilian waste as well. And there's also the Oklo natural reactor, which took place 2 billion years ago in the Gabon in Africa, and we know what happened with that. We can look to see how the used fuel moved through this natural reactor, and we know that the plutonium stayed in the rock, and basically that was just random uranium ore, and we can pick far better geology than that. It's not hard to pick. Even in Alberta, there's really good geology for it.
Did I also hear that some waste sites in the ocean or something rebounded or something? Maybe not. Maybe that was petroleum.
I know that John Oliver did a show where he talked about waste getting dumped in the ocean, and that if you're thinking about John Oliver, that was all military waste. No? Okay.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the thorium reactor, would that be a thing, or that would take like $1 billion of research to get going?
You can put thorium in a CANDU reactor. So Canada has CANDU reactors, and this is This is a new fuel. Yeah, these will run on natural uranium, but you can use enriched uranium and thorium, and that reduces the fuel reloading by 1/7. So like 1/7 the times you have to refuel it. So that makes 1/7 the waste. So that's, I kind of know one of the guys that's trying to make this happen. So I'm excited about it because it's thorium in Canada. That would be a pretty big deal. But yeah, it's not like the thorium reactor where it's super efficient. It's just more efficient.
Thanks. They do thorium elsewhere?
They're going to pursue it in India, and China's got a molten salt thorium reactor. They just announced 2 weeks ago that it was 1 week ago maybe that it was okay for them to activate it, like in China. Yeah, the Indian stuff is more like they have reactors really similar to ours, and they want to kind of breed thorium from them into a nuclear fuel and use that for their reactors. It's a lot of reprocessing. Like the idea of this is not a lot of reprocessing. This is just like we're going to build it, we're going to put a lot of thorium in it, and we're going to use it once, and that's that.
And pardon my ignorance, what's thorium?
It's another fuel like uranium.
So it's just does it have less downside than uranium then, just in terms of...
No, you can just get more energy out of it because uranium is, natural uranium needs a really special reactor to use it like a CANDU, right? We don't use normal water in our reactors, we use heavy water. And because we design our reactors to accept this, we can get a really good amount of energy out of thorium. If you try to put thorium in a conventional American reactor, it's not going to work as well. You need sort of a large, low power density reactor, which is what these are.
So you would use thorium in a CANDU reactor?
Yeah, yeah. And in an India reactor, what's probably going to happen with India and their thorium fuel cycle is they're probably going to end up just using something like this.
There's no nuclear in Alberta.
No, there is none. Likely, if we're going to deploy anything, it'll probably be that. Because the pilots for this and this are in other provinces. This is Ontario, this is New Brunswick. There's no pilot in Canada for this yet, so maybe we would get Terrestrial Energy, that's a Canadian nuclear company. Or we might just get the second build of something like this.
Where's Molten?
That's New Brunswick. So these guys are recycling used CANDU fuel into additional energy.
They're recycling what, sorry?
They're recycling our used fuel, so the nuclear waste. Still a lot of energy potential in nuclear waste. Yeah, so that is like. What's that?
Is this one operational?
No, none of these are. We only have CANDU. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just volunteering for Canadians for Nuclear Energy because I don't think that there's enough people talking or hearing about it. Thanks. Hey guys.
What's this?
These are the reactors that might get built in Alberta. This is probably the best bet. But that one's getting built in New Brunswick, that's getting built in Ontario. And yeah, I've just got some vendor sheets because I think every reactor is really different. Like you could say all the CANDUs are kind of similar, but this and this and this are all really different. So, yeah, if you...
this project's not going to be started till 2030 from my understanding.
That one, there isn't even an Alberta specific timeline. That's their ideal, like, province agnostic flyer.
Okay.
The announcement was just 4 days ago that there's some business development going on in Alberta with the Alberta government. But yeah, basically the only one that absolutely I know for sure is going to go forward is this one because it's General Electric. Yeah. And nuclear is low carbon, 3.2 grams of CO2 per kilowatt hour. If you compare that with coal, it's 1,000. If you compare it with solar and wind, you're looking at 10 to 20. And even European nuclear is 5.5. So the CANDU reactors we have in Canada, they're super carbon efficient.
What would happen with the waste that's generated from these?
It would go in a deep geological repository. Now, this has got a very good waste profile. You wouldn't have to have the waste in a repository that's as deep, but it really doesn't matter. You can make a repository that's good for 1 billion years. So the waste is a 100,000-year problem. Stick it in a 1 billion-year repository and you're good. There's an operational waste repository in the States called the WIP. It works fine. And there was a natural nuclear reactor called Oklo in the Gabon that demonstrated how the used fuel disperses through rocks, like the burned fissioned uranium turns into plutonium and actinides and fission products. So I think we have enough information to know that we can store it underground. It's not a problem.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. Have a good day.
To be part of this when you're older.
Yeah.
I hope. Hey guys.
Hello.
Yeah, feel free to take those, and if you have any questions about nuclear, I hope I can answer them.
Do you have anything that is like XL?
You guys sell the t-shirts?
It's an online thing. Yeah, I'm the guy behind the shirts, but I couldn't stock them in person.
You don't have anything large?
Well, they sell all sizes, right? You just have to order them online.
Okay.
I can help you get you through on your phone if you want.
I can figure it out. Is it just the QR code?
Yeah, all these shirts have the same QR code.
So the black there, is uranium?
Yeah, the QR code at Canadians for Nuclear Energy, that's a different address. This has got a pretty crappy address, so I had to QR code it.
Sweet, got it, thanks.
All right, no problem.
Yeah, we can order you one.
Yeah, so if there's a reactor built in Alberta, this is a good bet because these guys are piloting in New Brunswick, these guys are piloting in Ontario, so that kind of leaves these guys free.
Here, right?
Hopefully. There was an announcement 4 days ago about a memorandum of understanding between Terrestrial Energy and the government of Alberta, but I don't know how serious that is, right? A memorandum of understanding, I don't know what that amounts to.
And your group here, what is it?
Canadians for Nuclear Energy. So yeah, if you ever want to Google that, that's a good source for information. I'm just volunteering for them because I took an interest in nuclear power 10 years ago, and my conclusion since is that it's immensely undervalued. Canadians for Nuclear Energy. It's in case I said power. Canadians for Nuclear Energy.
Yeah, I taught chemistry for 30 years at a CEGEP in Quebec, the regional colleges. Got a PhD in chemistry.
Oh, cool. Well, you might take an interest in this too, even if they don't pilot in Alberta, just because the molten salt reactors, there's a lot of interesting chemistry going on in those that don't happen in traditional reactors.
Are the gummy bears for eating or for
Yeah, they're for eating. Yeah.
Did not expect to see this here, I guess.
Yeah, I did it first time last year. It was a COVID year, so it was pretty small turnout. Also, it rained, but it's still, like, I got to talk to a lot of people, and I thought it went well. So yeah, it's just vendor flyers from every vendor. 2 of them sent me flyers. The other guys I had to print off their flyers.
This is like a small modular type of thing?
Yep,
or?
These are all small. The only one that's micro is this one here. It's just small, and the can-dos are pretty big.
Well, I hope we pull our heads out of our asses and get on it. So.
Yeah, if you want to grab the 3 most important flyers, it's these guys because they're the most likely candidates for Alberta. We're not going to launch the first ones of these, but maybe we'll get the second ones, but maybe we'll be the first guy to get those.
Are you guys like promoting?
Well, Canadians for Nuclear Energy is a nonprofit. I'm a volunteer, and I'm just trying to raise awareness of nuclear in Alberta because I think we should be deploying some. And it's probably a long haul.
Well, people should know. What?
Yeah, so I took an interest 10 years ago, and I've actually learned more in the past 3 years about nuclear in Alberta than I did in the first 7 years. That was me learning about how we were going to have nuclear in 2008, and OPG, or Bruce Power, decided against it because CANDU, they weren't going to go with this CANDU, they were going to go with a more expensive CANDU, and they just it's Canadian reactors. So it uses heavy water, deuterium, instead of normal water. So that lets it use a wider variety of fuels than normal reactors. It can run on natural uranium, which is really good for Canada right now because there's a worldwide, not shortage on uranium, but there's a shortage on enriched uranium because Russia was doing all the enriching for the world. And you can also use enriched uranium and thorium and get fuel that can last 7 times as long.
I mean, if they want cleaner, this is the cleanest energy, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's a EU study, but it's like, is this the environmental one? This is human impact, this is ecosystem impact. And so nuclear is at 0.1 on this kind of formula for calculating impact. And this is not like a pro-nuclear group, this is United Nations, European Economic Commission, something like that. Yeah, so Germany's back on that. Good going, Germany, good going. If you want a shirt, it's a different QR code. This is just for Canadians for Nuclear Energy, and you can just remember that and Google that if you want.
Oh, this is what you said.
Yeah, the shirts are at cost. They're still not super cheap, but I'm not making money off them. Because these are being prototyped elsewhere in Canada, you can imagine the second build being in Alberta.
Right.
And this is not being prototyped in Canada anywhere, but it is a Canadian company.
Okay.
And Terrestrial Energy.
Okay.
It's a molten salt reactor, so this is a really simple reactor design, and hopefully it'll be very inexpensive. These are pretty advanced reactors, but they do different things like this. They're high temperature. You can drive industrial processes with that heat, whereas with normal reactors, they're not that hot, so you can't really replace the burning of natural gas with a normal reactor.
Right. Super interesting.
Yeah, you're into it.
Yeah, if you got the capacity to carry the flyers, I would grab these if you can. And CANDO is pretty cool. I don't know how to move it forward, but the clean core fuel is a thorium-enriched fuel. And I know the guy working on that, so hopefully that can happen in Canada and India, because we've got similar reactors that can use it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Is it all right? Grab a
Yeah.
pellet?
Yeah.
You're grabbing a
Yeah, you can grab a gummy bear.
Oh, gummy bear.
Yeah, you can take it.
Okay. No.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
This is the comic that I always remember
Is
about.
it XCKD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows you the density of nuclear energy.
Yeah, I wish that there would be more versions of that. I could see that being used a number of different ways, but it's his good work there.
Where in Alberta would they put it?
There was a site that they were going to deploy a CANDO back around 2008 before that got kiboshed. I don't know the details of it. I actually thought, oh, that's another thing I should print, but I was rushing to get set up here. I mean, any site that's licensed for a big reactor should be usable for a small reactor. And any of these things that are high temperature, you could drop them in where there's coal right now and just replace coal. That's what Bill Gates is going to do that in Wyoming with his reactor. I don't have a pamphlet for it because we're not going to get one in Canada anytime soon. But yeah, they're just going to build it right where there's a coal plant and reuse the transmission lines. China is even building reactors that are going to use the steam turbines in coal plants. So they're not just using the transmission lines and the location, they're going to actually use the electricity generation hardware. But that's kind of a special case for China because they have so many good coal plants, like modern coal plants. So if you can do that with a modern coal plant, you can't really do it with an old coal plant. And we're not really building a lot of new coal in North America, so.
For sure. Like, when was the last time that a nuclear plant was built in Canada?
Oh God.
A long time ago.
We refurbished one just years ago in Bruce Power. Like, a refurbishment is an awful lot like, no, you can take one. You guys take one each if you want, that's fine. Yeah. So a refurbishment is an awful lot like a build, except you don't have anti-nuclear people gumming up the works, right? They can say, we don't want a refurbishment, but once it starts, it's going to get completed. Whereas a nuclear power plant, from the beginning, it takes a long time to build, so that's a lot of opportunity for delay. But yeah, as far as a new CANDO, it wasn't even in Canada, it was China, and it was in the 90s. Wow. So it's been a long time since a CANDO was built. But it was these, so yeah, these guys are Canadian companies too, so I'm hoping they'll succeed. These guys get piloted in New Brunswick, maybe they get piloted in Alberta, but and these guys will definitely get piloted in Ontario because it's General Electric, and they'll probably get built all around the world in no time.
Thanks, I appreciate it, and good luck with that.
Oh, thanks. That's the Ultra Safe Nuclear Corp. Yeah, so this is a micro reactor. That's the smallest reactor kind I have a flyer for. This is a big reactor, or CANDO. We have these in Canada. And just recently there's a new type of fuel coming out in 2025 that will reduce the waste volume by to 1/7. That's by mixing in some thorium in the fuel.
there any plans to build in Alberta right now?
In Alberta, no. There was a memorandum of understanding 4 days ago where an Alberta business development branch reached an agreement with Terrestrial Energy. They're going to do something. It might involve 100 people, but it's not building a reactor. It's looking at building a reactor.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, like building a reactor is sort of a big deal, and we got to start smaller than that. If it's not terrestrial, then it'll probably be Moltex or these guys, or even a CANDU. Like all of these reactors are incredibly different. These two are both molten salt reactors, and even they are incredibly different. So yeah, if you want to get a sense of what's possible, I'd grab every single one of these and give it a look through.
So you'll grab some of these data?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think these two are the most important.
Okay. What are the other two?
They're impact. So this is CO2 specifically.
I see.
But this is the same study as this, but it's like environmental impact and human impact.
Okay.
Do you want those two?
Yes, please.
Okay. That's everything I have at multiples of.
I mean, CO2 is just one of the impacts, right? But
yeah, well, do you want me to pass you the other life cycle impacts? The reason you actually see impacts from solar and wind is because they've got, foreign supply chains that are usually have something sketchy about them.
Yeah, made in China or something.
Yeah, like solar from China is a bit of a thing right now with the human rights.
So I guess the big thing with nuclear is how you get rid of the waste out.
Yeah, I would say geological repository. So you can recycle it into additional energy. These guys use Canadian nuclear fuel and they get additional energy out of it.
Okay.
That most of nuclear waste is just natural uranium. So there's a lot of energy potential there. You just need you either reprocess it chemically or you get a reactor that's capable of extracting the additional energy. And I can grab one of everything if you want.
Yeah.
One of everything? What do you have, these two so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Do you want the CO2 data as well?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is a European, United Nations European study, and this one that's specific to Canada is just a Canadian academic study. So I couldn't get this amount of information on all the different power sources in a Canadian context. I had to go to Europe for that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Sounds like you did a
I got it.
It's still gas and electricity, so I'm just curious to see. Just read.
Okay, well, I'm glad you are. Thank you. Yep.
So these have no vacuum building, eh?
They have no what?
Vacuum building?
I don't know what you mean by that. Like a containment building?
That's the facility that sucks out all the contaminants if there's an accident.
I don't know if a CANDU does or does not have that.
Here it says it has water contained at the top of the dome, the reactor building. In case there's an accident, the water comes down and takes all the loose contamination into liquid, sucks it out. CANDU 6, who makes that?
SNC Lavalin would. They own the IP. I mean, they wouldn't manufacture it, but they'd license the technology. Harper government sold off the IP to the CANDU, to SNC Lavalin, and so that's kind of why CANDU, in my opinion, why CANDU has been stalled is because the IP exists half in the Crown Corporation and half in SNC Lavalin, and neither has the incentive to push CANDU forward.
Well, they're putting little mini ones right now at Darlington.
That's Darlington. No. That's a refurbishment. So they refurbish.
They're refurbishing it,
yeah,
but they're also putting.
We're gonna build these.
They're also putting the smaller ones.
Yeah, that's the ones they're building. So it's a general.
To the east of the plant.
Yeah.
While they're doing the refurbishment, I think they've already got one unit 2 up and.
The refurbishment, yeah, and they're apparently not going to refurbish Pickering. Canadians.
No, Pickering's going.
Oh,
Pickering.
Guys, sorry, I'm going to have to. We'll let that one go. Okay, sorry guys. Can you just help cover it? And I'm gonna
help you out with stuff.
Okay. This is. It was all fun and games until I ran out of gummy bears. Okay. Thank you.
Can't take my hand off it.
Okay. So yeah, I was. Sort of counting on gummy bears, and then everyone wanted gummy bears.
How many
In Canada or?
Not Canada.
Thanks.
There's some in Ontario.
Yeah.
And out in the States, so.
I don't know the count.
So are you presenting this because they're thinking of putting reactors out west?
Well, I want to see nuclear power in Alberta, so I'm just kind of trying to share the information I have with other people. So Canadians for Nuclear Energy, nonprofit, I'm volunteering. I've been wanting to do this for years, so last year was the first year I did it. And so this year I have a friend, or someone who's joining me, because she too is interested in nuclear power in Alberta. So yeah, I'll probably do this every year and to see if I keep bumping to the same people at Marda Gras and getting diminishing returns.
Well, they had a little test reactor there in Manitoba years ago.
What was that? Was that an educational reactor, maybe?
I can't remember the location of it now, but it was a small little reactor.
They have slowpoke reactors. That's the thing. A slowpoke reactor. It's kind of a reactor at a university or something like that.
Yeah, it was never. It's like the one that was at Chalk River, like experimental.
Okay. Yeah.
But nothing ever came of it, and it wasn't put together to make power. It was put together just to see how the technology would work.
Right.
It wasn't made to make power like this.
Yeah. Well, apparently, even in Edmonton, University of Edmonton, there was a slowpoke reactor, but I think that's been decommissioned. So.
Yeah. I mean,
the guy in the University of Calgary Physics, some guy, Dr. Jason Donev, he came to Alberta because he was told he would get to run a educational reactor for the students, and they never built it. And he's like, well, now I'm here in Calgary.
It's kind of hard to build anything like that. I mean, I worked in the nuclear industry for like 40 years. I worked at Pickering.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
All 8 units inside the reactors. And I worked at Darlington. I worked there when they were building it. I worked there 15 years after it was already running.
That's awesome.
So I have a lot of experience in nuclear. I worked as a rad tech, which is for looking after people's radiological safety.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about the CANDU reactor then?
In Canada, they're not meant to make any money. Okay, you go in the States, it's all about money. That's why they don't have CANDU reactors. They don't like the cost of them. South Korea has CANDU reactors.
China too, yeah.
China has some. So does where the hell is it?
India, maybe?
Europe, Romania.
Oh, Romania, yeah.
Romania has them because we sent people over there to work.
Yeah.
To help them when they were building the plants, right? But the States, their system is different. They don't use D2O, as you probably know, right? And they're all about the cost, the money.
Yeah.
How much money can we make? 3 Mile Island's a great example. It's a really good film on Netflix.
I have not seen that yet.
Yeah. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you should watch it because it's...
Sorry, it's all a mess. That was blowing away, but you can take a gummy bear if you want.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah.
I like this goop.
Yeah, goop. That's fine. Hey there.
Today.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'll be back in a second. I just want to grab more, way down the paper.
Way down the paper. That's the Reactor.
Yeah, non-fissile.
You gotta have the
Thorium is not non-fissile.
Yeah, you gotta have.
Can't do anything.
You gotta have the right.
Well, you can.
5% enrichment.
Did you see the clean core flour?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
3 to 5%.
It works because it's enriched, high assay, low enriched. Yeah.
You turn it to UF6 and then you put it through a centrifuge, spin it fast, and then put it back into.
They have a lot of failed fuel bundles that go through. I mean, they're not all perfect.
Well, the CANDU reactor doesn't even need to be enriched. Just natural uranium.
Yeah. but they get fuel bundles like this.
Yeah, fuel rod.
And feel free to reach in and grab anything you want or ask me questions. I can.
I was just gonna ask, you know, do you have a petition or like what's the...
Oh, there's no petition, but if you go to Canadians for Nuclear Energy up there, that's a mailing list. And when we have a call to action in Alberta, we'll let you know. I'm kind of eager for any kind of call to action in Alberta, but yeah, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do other than just kind of writing your legislators and saying that you're interested in this sort of thing. Greg McLean, he's got a table here, so if you get a word with him, you can always say support nuclear power.
Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for asking.
And then they should have completed the one in North Carolina. They got like 30% done, and then it just we spent $5 billion. Let's scrap it.
Yeah, you should check out that film because 3 Mile Island. When that occurred, within 2 weeks, the movie The China Syndrome came out.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Fear of nuclear until that movie came out, and they saw all this, and then at the same time, there was all the press of 3 Mile Island happening.
Yeah.
Although nothing leaked. But the states, the owners of that reactor tried to cover it up and tried to push the recovery before everything was properly tested.
Right.
Like the crane, the overhead.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's good.
Was part of the accident, so they didn't know what kind of effect that happened to the crane. And they were going to use it before they even tested it.
And did they, or did someone make them stop?
They finally had it. That went right to court. The whistleblower that blew the whistle on it. He load tested it, everything works. He checked all the cables. Didn't do any of it. Because it would have cost him a lot of money to clean it up.
Right.
To do that. And people that they had on the board who were the overseers, supposedly overseers for the safety, nuclear safety, were all in the pockets of these corporations. Whereas over in Canada, you don't get that because it's all owned by the government. I worked there; they would spend, $50 million to do a job to do it so that it was safe. It never came down to how much it was.
Right.
We would go into an outage, and it'd be a $150 million outage, 40 days. If it dragged on to 80 days and was $300 million, that's what it was.
Pack up the cameras, I guess. Okay, I'm going over to the old camera. And that's Jessica. All right, thank you, Jessica, for your help. This was great.
It was fun.
Oh, hey. Oh, you want a photo? Yeah, the shirts you can only buy by scanning the QR code. If you're looking for a shirt.
Yeah, we want buy a gift for her uncle.
It would take a month to arrive, so you can get any size you want, but it wouldn't arrive very quickly.
So we cannot get it now.
Not here, not now.
Okay,
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, here comes the final audio. This is it.